right, let's dive into Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. This is it. The grand finale, where all those mysteries and cliffhangers from the other books, they all finally come together. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about this book is it goes way beyond just a fight between good and evil, Deathly Hallows really brings everything from the previous books, those themes of friendship and sacrifice, love and loss. It shows us what happens when those ideas are put to the ultimate test, when the stakes are just ridiculously high.
From the very beginning, when Harry leaves Privet Drive for the last time, it feels like he's leaving more than just a house behind. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's a huge transition for him. That whole scene with the Order of the Phoenix's plan to move him using 7 Harrys, that really shows you just how much danger he's in. Voldemort is just relentless. And that attack that happens right afterward, Moody's death and George getting injured, it's a harsh reminder that this war is not a game. People are going to get hurt.
It's a total punch to the gut, that's for sure. And then there's all this stuff Dumbledore leaves behind. Those puzzling bequests. The Snitch, the Delimitator, the tales of Beetle the Bard. At first it seems so random, but this is Dumbledore, right? There's gotta be a deeper meaning.
Oh, absolutely. You gotta think of him as puzzle pieces. Remember Araby from Half-Blood Prince? Well, finally we find out who it was, Regulus Black, Sirius's brother. He tried to steal a Horcrux from Voldemort's Eve. These little details from the past are actually huge clues. They help us understand what's happening in the present.
So it's all connected. And speaking of connections, that stolen Horcrux leads them right to the Ministry of Magic, which is a whole other level of messed up. The way Voldemort has taken over, it's chilling how quickly things can spiral out of control, how easily people can be manipulated by fear and prejudice.
Yeah, it's a pretty clear warning about the dangers of unchecked power. The way the Ministry is treating Muggleborns and anyone who doesn't fit their pure-blood ideal, it's like a scary reflection of real-world discrimination.
It's terrifying how relevant that feels. But even with all that darkness, we see Harry, Ron, and Hermione. They're becoming more resourceful, more skilled at raid on the Ministry. Taking down Umbridge, they're really stepping up, but it comes at a huge cost.
You said it. And that cost becomes even more obvious when they're on the run with that locket Horcrux. Remember, it's not just a random object. It's a piece of Voldemort's soul, full of all that darkness, and it starts to get to them. It affects their thoughts and emotions, even starts driving a wedge between them.
It's almost like that locket is proof that evil isn't just an idea, It's got a real presence of power that can mess with even the strongest friendships. And speaking of messed up friendships, Ron leaving, man, that was heartbreaking.
I know, right? It really shows the kind of pressure they're under. These are teenagers facing an impossible task, and Ron's struggle with that locket, it shows how vulnerable we all are to negativity, especially when you're exhausted and losing hope.
Yeah, he leaves a huge hole in the group. But Harry and Hermione, they keep going. They even visit Godric's Hollow, which is so full of tragedy. It's like every step they take, they uncover more of Voldemort's cruelty and Harry's own painful past.
And it's there in Godric's Hollow that they have that insane encounter with Bathilda Bagshot, who, remember, is actually possessed by Nagini. Talk about a close call.
Oh, for sure. And then there's that whole thing about the Sword of Gryffindor and its connection to goblins and how it can actually absorb what makes it stronger. It just adds so much depth.
I know. It really shows how much history and culture is woven into magic. The fact that goblins forged that sword just adds a whole other layer to the wizarding world.
And then, just when you think things can't get crazier, we get the Deathly Hallows. The Elder Wand, the Resurrection Stone, the Invisibility Cloak. These objects from an actual legend about death, they exist. It's wild.
It's like something straight out of a myth, right? That whole fascination humans have with power, especially power over death. And those Hallows, they represent ultimate power, which brings up those big questions. What would you do for that kind of power? Would you even be tempted?
And we see how tempting those Hallows can be with Xenophilius Lovegood. He's so desperate to get Lumina back that he's willing to betray Harry and his friends.
Yeah.
It just shows how tough some choices can be.
Exactly. It makes you think about where we draw the line. What are we willing to do for the people we love? When does working for the greater good mean sacrificing our own morals?
So many big questions. And this is just the beginning. Their journey's far from over. Man, that first half was intense. And this second part, Deathly Hallows, it's like a non-stop roller coaster escaping from Malfoy Manor, that crazy Gringotts heist. It never lets up.
And it's not just the action, right? You see these characters dealing with some seriously heavy stuff. Loss, betrayals, sacrifice. It makes you think about your own beliefs and what you do for the people you love.
Absolutely. Speaking of sacrifice, we gotta talk about Dobby. That escape from Malfoy Manor was incredible. And then, well, I think we all know what happens. It's one of the saddest moments in the whole series.
It really is. And it's not just sad, it's a reminder of how unfair the wizarding world can be, you know? House elves, they're treated like property. Their lives don't seem to matter. And Dobby, he was so loyal and brave, even when things were so messed up. It makes his sacrifice even more powerful.
It's definitely a moment that sticks with you.
Yeah.
And then bam, we get that insane escape from Gringotts riding on a dragon. It's like something out of a movie, but with magic and goblins.
It's more than just a cool scene, though. It's like a big act of rebellion.
Yeah.
They're hitting Voldemort where it hurts, stealing from his vault. It shows how far they'll go to fight back against him.
A huge turning point. And finally, they make it back to Hogwarts. But it's not the same welcoming place it used to be. It feels like a battleground. Like everyone's getting ready for a war they know they can't avoid.
Yeah, the atmosphere is so heavy. But you can also feel this resilience, this determination to fight for what's right, even when things look totally bleak.
Everyone's ready to stand their ground. The students, the teachers, even the ghosts. And Neville Longbottom, remember him, that shy, clumsy kid? He totally becomes a leader. He stands up to Voldemort, pulls the sword of Gryffindor out of the sorting hat. I mean, wow.
His transformation is amazing. It shows how even the quietest people can find their strength when they need it. And then there's Snape, and that reveal, talk about a plot twist. His love for Lily, all those years protecting Harry, like the fact that he was a double agent this whole time, it changes everything.
It really does. You have to rethink everything you thought you knew about him.
Yeah.
And then Harry finds out he's a Horcrux, that he has to die to defeat Voldemort. That's a lot to handle, especially for a teenager.
It's a moment of pure acceptance, you know. Harry finally gets it. He understands how deeply he's connected to Voldemort and what he needs to do. His willingness to face death, to do what has to be done, that's true selflessness.
Yeah, and that walk into the Forbidden Forest, the conversation with Dumbledore at King's Cross. It's like we're right there with him, experiencing something beyond this world.
It's such a beautiful and symbolic scene. It makes you think about life and death and how love can overcome even the darkest things. Dumbledore's there, offering guidance and comfort. It brings a sense of peace in the middle of all of this chaos.
It's a moment of clarity before that epic final battle. Neville's bravery, Harry's last stand against Voldemort. The entire wizarding world comes together to fight evil. It's amazing.
It's like everything we've seen in the series, all those themes and struggles, they all come together in that final battle. It's about the power of love and friendship and the choices we make when things get tough.
The ending is bittersweet, for sure. But there's hope. A sense of renewal. Voldemort is finally gone, even though it came at a huge cost. And as we move into the last part of our deep dive, I think it's important to think about how Deathly Hallows stays with us. What can we learn from it? What makes it so powerful, even after all these years? All right, so we've made it to the final part of our Deathly Hallows deep dive. We've gone through so much, all the twists and turns and intense moments. Now I think it's time to take a breath and ask, like, what makes this book, this whole series, so unforgettable? Why do people keep coming back to it even years later?
Well, I think a big part of it is that it deals with things we all experience, you know? Love and loss, friendship, sacrifice. Those themes are timeless and universal. It doesn't matter how old you are or where you're from. Those things resonate with everyone.
Yeah, it's true. And seeing those themes play out in such a magical, imaginative world, it just makes them even more powerful.
Yeah.
We're not just reading about these ideas, we're living them with these characters we've come to love.
And the characters, right? They're not perfect. They mess up, they have doubts, they go through so much, it makes them feel real, like people you could actually know. Think about Neville Longbottom. He starts off as this timid, kind of bumbling kid. But by Deathly Hallows, he's a total hero. Leading the resistance at Hogwarts, standing up to Voldemort, even pulling the sword of Gryffindor out of the sorting hat.
He's come such a long way. It's like a reminder that we all have that potential for greatness inside us, even if it takes time and challenges to bring it out. And it's not just Neville. Pretty much every character grows and changes, even the ones you might not expect.
Even Draco Malfoy. He's been Harry's rival for so long. But in Deathly Hallows, you start to see him question things. He's struggling with everything he's been taught, all the prejudice and hatred. It's like he's finally realizing how messed up it all is.
Those moments of doubt, they make the characters feel so human. And then there's the power of friendship, especially between Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
Right.
That's what gets them through everything, right?
Absolutely. Their friendship is the anchor. It's not always easy. They fight, they disagree. There's that whole time Ron walks out. But in the end, they always come back together. They're loyal, they forgive each other, and that makes their bond unbreakable. It shows how important it is to have people you can count on, people who support you no matter what.
And it's not just the trio, right? You see that connection in the Order of the Phoenix, Dumbledore's army, all those students and teachers who stand together to defend Hogwarts. It shows that we're stronger when we're united, that we can overcome incredible obstacles when we work together.
Deathly Hallows also doesn't shy away from some tough, real-world issues. The way the Ministry mistreats Muggleborns, how Voldemort takes over, how fear and prejudice are used to control people. It's pretty unsettling how much it mirrors things happening in our own world.
It's definitely a wake-up call. It makes you want to be more aware, to challenge injustice and stand up for people who are being treated unfairly. Deathly Hallows pushes us to think critically about the world around us and to use our voices to make a difference.
And we can't forget the impact this series has had on reading and education. It's gotten so many people, kids and adults, excited about books, and teachers use it in classrooms to talk about all kinds of things, from literature and history to philosophy and even ethics.
It's amazing how a story that started as entertainment for kids has become this source of learning and discussion. It really shows how talented J.K. Rowling is, how she blended fantasy and reality, fun and serious topics.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, what do you think the lasting message of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is? What does it give us as individuals and as a society?
I think it gives us hope. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, love and bravery can win. It shows us that even in a world full of problems, there's always good to fight for and stories that can inspire us to be better.
Beautifully said. That's the magic of storytelling, right? It brings us together, it gives us hope, and it reminds us that we're not alone in our struggles.
And that's a wrap on our Deathly Hallows deep dive. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed exploring this incredible story with us.
Keep the magic alive.